Overall, in general, the building is good, apart from the columns on the inside for some reason that have deteriorated. There's various reasons, being wet all the time, drawing up salts because we're near the river. They're going to put DPC underneath the base of the column, is the idea, to stop any moisture going up it. These are the columns we were talking about earlier. This is a repair that has failed. Don't know why, whether it's a bad batch of stone, we don't know. That's an original piece with the internal still in, which is carrying the load. But that's another repair that's gone. So our job is to take all these out. There's so many individual pieces because the architect wants to keep a lot of original rather than have complete new drums. Though he has got to have some new drums, so that's been put out to a draftsman who's going to draw it all up, and it's the same guy that's doing all the floor. We just basically send in a profile and then send it off to our banker shop and they work the stone for us.
Well, it all starts in this office, which is the drawing office, and it's my job to coordinate the requirements on site for stone through the workshop so that we get the right details as requested by architects and builders. If I just run you quickly through the process. This is the architect's sketch detail of the quatrefoil columns, showing what his requirement for replacement is in the hatched yellow. We then detail that and produce a schedule with the actual exact sizes for the various areas for each of the columns, with, as I say, the sizes of the heights, the depths and the widths of them. We actually make our own plastic templates. This one shows just the column, one of the 4 sections, and this one shows, as there's a square section between each of the circular sections, this shows a simple checkout of the, as we call them, the beaks, which go between the circular sections. Each stone has its own card, which goes down to the saw shop, and the sawyers then cut those to square blocks. The internal stonework has been Quay, which is from France. It's imported in large blocks. We also have been using Lupine on the external stuff for the restoration work and the new build. Quay is more yellow and is softer than the Lupine, which is why you can use the Quay internally because it's protected, and the Lupine is slightly harder, so weather's much better. As you'll see, the block comes in very large blocks, up to sort of 8-10 tons. That then goes onto the primary saw to get the basic depths of the stone that's required. So if you imagine the block is 2 meters wide by 1.5 meters tall, most of these details that we're doing at the moment are all of the same depth. So you put the block on, so you cut the same depth all the way along the block, and that piece that comes off, which is a sheet, is called a scant. It then goes from the primary saw to the secondary saw, and it's then cut down to the smaller second dimension. So you end up with the block size of the stone you want to finish coming off the secondary saw. It then goes on to the profile saw, and if we can, we will run out as much of the detail that's required as possible. Once those have been cut, they then go through to the workshop where the stonemasons themselves mark off, using the template on the block, the exact detail, and then work accordingly. Once that's all done, it's palletized and sent to site with the markings on the stone so they know exactly where each piece goes.
Today we are fitting these piece repairs for the columns. Here we have our drawing that's been done by the draftsman, and this identifies to me where each individual stone goes. As you can see, all the stones are numbered with the corresponding number for a column 3, as this one rightly says, and that is drum, the D, and course 8, and the last letter should be an E, which will be east. And it's just basically a great big jigsaw puzzle of north, south, east and west, and you just basically work out where the stone goes and how much you've got to cut out. As you can see on there, you've got whole drums and you've got part drums, and also you have little beaks, which is the little corner piece, which have to be let in as well. Okay. And I basically just highlight them once I've fitted the stone so I know where I'm going, so I don't get lost really. We are retaining as much of the original stone column as possible, and we're doing a lot of letting in. Right. The idea is to get the drum in, line it up with what's existing, which is this, obviously, and put the new drum in, but as you can see, it needs to be let in slightly on the left to give it twist round. As you can see, this side's far too forward to that, so that's just got to be eased in there, which means more working out on the back of the existing stone. Around this side, we've got some that we completed earlier. As you can see, nosing's all in line, 3 drums in, all pointed up and all wedged up nicely, ready for the next set to go in when the scaffold goes up. We have little stainless steel dowels. That'll be let in the back of the stone, and then we'll do a hole that marries up in the column, and then we'll slide them all in with a little bit of lime putty and stuff to hold it all in place. And when we can do whole drums, we'll be using an angle bracket at the back here, which will come down there along the top, and then you'll have a locating pin through the angle bracket, and then it'll make a complete unit then. It's somewhere in the region of about 120 individual pieces that we've got to do. So we'll be here for a little while.